the healing is huge, and that is a level of closure.
Closure for a Bay Area woman, one of at least 60 women who have accused Bill Cosby of sexual misconduct. Tonight, the man once known as America's Dad is in prison. Thanks for joining us here on Nightside. I'm Katie McCall.
And I'm Carolina Leid. Right now, Bill Cosby is spending his first night alone in his cell. The 81-year-old was convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant at his Philadelphia mansion 14 years ago. Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. He was cuffed and taken straight to prison. Cosby will now have to register as a sex offender. He is the first celebrity to be convicted in the Me Too era. Many of Bill Cosby's accusers wondered whether they'd ever see this day.
That's for sure. And Kaya Thompson, who now lives in Hernando County, is one of them. In an interview you'll see only on 10 News, she tells Nightside's Grady Trimble what this day means to her.
You exhale and it's just a fantastic feeling.
Relief. 30 years later, Kaya Thompson was an aspiring model and actor when she says Bill Cosby sexually assaulted her. She was just 17.
Can't talk about it, and I didn't even tell my parents right away.
While the rest of the world saw America's Dad, for her, the thought of Bill Cosby conjured up feelings of shame and disgust. Over the years, she met other accusers. Now, more than 50 women have come forward.
I realized these are my people, We all have had all of these years of finding a way to cope around this person, this image, this name, and everything else. And so we had a lot in common.
Thompson says she didn't expect to cry when she heard Cosby's sentence, but her emotions took over.
I feel like I'm coming out from under a rock, a 30-year rock or something. And, of course, it's been a process. It's not all 1 minute, but it's really affirming to know that the public does not approve of this.
The first of many nights Bill Cosby will spend in prison is also the first of many nights Thompson will sleep with a new sense of closure.
I pray for him too, in all of this.
What do you pray for?
That he want to come close to God, that he want to be honest with himself and others and figure out the right way, the way to put your right foot first,
Wow, what an amazing woman she is. I'm curious, Grady, does she think that 3 to 10 years in prison is enough?
Well, I was curious about that too, and she told me she's just thankful he's being punished at all because for years it felt like she would never see any kind of resolution to this. She also says as long as he's in prison, she's thankful he won't be able to abuse anyone else.
Fabulous story, Grady, thank you.
Another accuser, Heidi Thomas, was at the trial for this case. She was the first one to take the stand. Today, Thomas reacted to Cosby's sentencing on Daily Blast Live.
Seeing him walk out in cuffs and then personalizing it and bringing it back to the snapshots I have in my mind, that's pretty emotional.
Wow.
That's pretty emotional.
What would you say right now to Andrea Constant, to Janice Dickinson, who are there? So brave, so ready to come forward when the entire world she must have felt like the whole world was against her.
Cosby spokesperson suggested the comedian was denied his right to a fair trial.
This has been the most racist and sexist trial in the history of the United States. Dr. Cosby has been one of the greatest civil rights leaders in the United States for over the last 50 years. He has also been one of the greatest educators of men and boys over the last 50 years. This was not pointed out to the jury or allowed in court because the racist and sexist mass media was attacking and denouncing Dr. Cosby whenever his lawyers even hinted there was racist and sexism present. All three of the psychologists who testified against Dr. Cosby were white women who make money off of accusing black men of being sexual predators.
So he went on to say that he believes that a piece of evidence in this case was doctored. The defense team plans to raise that issue on appeal.
And we talked about this case on Facebook Live tonight. Some of you think this sentence that he got is a little too light, but a lot of you really applauding that judge for addressing Cosby the way he did. Terry, you say that's not enough punishment for the horrendous crimes he did. Nancy, you are relieved. You say the judge sent a good message. Gregory, you think this is too light a sentence. You say he should have got life for what he did. He is a sick man in his head. So what is next for Bill Cosby? Well, he's spending the night at a new state prison in Philadelphia. Corrections officials there will assess Cosby's needs to determine where he'll serve most of his state prison sentence. Now, as soon as we get any updates on this case, we're going to send them to you in an alert straight to your phone through our free 10 News app.
Newly released documents show the man killed outside a Clearwater convenience store was turning away from the shooter when he was hit in the chest. The autopsy report from Marquise McLaughlin shows the single shot fired by Michael Draka passed through McLaughlin's chest and stopped in his upper right chest. The state's attorney says the report is consistent with the surveillance video that shows McLaughlin turning away from Draka. Draka's charged with manslaughter in McLaughlin's death. He just bonded out of jail yesterday. His next court hearing is on October 19th.
Sarasota police are reminding people not to drink and drive. The department posted a video on Twitter showing a car speeding toward an intersection where several cars are stopped at the traffic light. You see it right there. That driver slammed into the back end of one of the vehicles. And from the video, it appears that this car never slowed down before the crash. It happened Saturday night on Fruitville Road and Tuttle Avenue. Police say nobody was seriously hurt, but the crash could have killed someone. And Hillsborough County deputies need your help tracking down two men who tricked a 92-year-old woman into getting inside of her home. Detectives say one man distracted the woman while the other stole coins and jewelry. This happened back in July on Kingsbury Circle in Tampa. Deputies believe the men drove off in a dark-colored, older model Ford Explorer. If you recognize either of these men, you're asked to give Hillsborough deputies a call.
And we're keeping an eye on tonight's other stories from across the country.
The Senate Judiciary Committee will vote on Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court on Friday morning. That's just one day after Christine Blasey Ford and Judge Kavanaugh are scheduled to testify before the committee. Ford claims Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her at a party during their high school years. Kavanaugh says it did not happen.
A Wesley Chapel teacher's aide is arrested and accused of abusing a student with autism on a school bus. Deputies say cameras caught Derek Simpson pushing the child's head down, using his body weight on the child's back. Simpson is on paid administrative leave, facing 2 counts of child abuse. No more donuts with Dunkin'. Dunkin' Donuts is shortening its name to Dunkin'. The coffee chain wants to put more emphasis on its coffee and other drinks. The change will officially take place in January, but don't worry, donuts will stay on the menu.
Well, that's a relief. All right, sometimes it feels like every other road is a toll road, but where's all the money you're paying going? You may not think about the money you spend on Florida's toll roads once it leaves your hand or your account.
But when 10 Investigate shined a spotlight on the state's SunPass failures, many of you reached out asking us to follow the money. Well, investigative reporter Noah Pransky did just that, and tonight explains where all that toll money is going.
When FDOT mismanaged its SunPass upgrade this summer, resulting in hundreds of millions in delayed and unexpected charges on our accounts, we tried to get as many of your problems fixed as possible. But there was little we could do about one recurring toll complaint. Xavier Suarez wrote us on Twitter, charging motorists for using highways built 30 years ago is unjustified. And Star Cannon on Facebook wrote, the Suncoast Parkway Veterans Expressway opened when I was 9. That's over 20 years ago. Shouldn't it be paid for by now? Well, yes, it should be. So we dug into why you're still paying tolls on roads that are already paid off.
We are the most tolled state in the country. That alone should give a Floridian pause.
Rick Fernandez is no stranger to Tampa-based toll roads. He drives the Selman, the Veterans, the Skyway. He doesn't like paying to drive on roads that his gas taxes and sales taxes are already paying for. But what he says really makes him see red is where the state's $1 billion a year in toll money goes. Fernandez wants some of the money to help reduce our dependency on highways with transit and more improvements in the community. Instead, all that toll money is paying for more and more roads with more and more tolls.
It is frustrating that we are putting so many eggs into one basket to the exclusion of what I think is clearly where we should be spending our time and focus.
Florida's added more than 100 miles of new toll roads and lanes since Governor Scott took office 8 years ago, and there are even more planned. That includes tolled express lanes along I-4, 275, and potentially even on the next new span of the Howard Franklin Bridge. When those improvements are paid off, they too will become profit makers. Karen Cox wrote us, if our taxes pay for the roads and highways in Florida, then why do we have to pay yet another fee to travel them? We asked the governor.
We have had viewers who have asked why they're being taxed on tolls when the road's already paid off.
You want to make sure you continue to grow the state. You want to make sure you have the right infrastructure, and part of how you pay for it is through the toll roads.
Whether you love or hate the idea, you have Bob Poole to thank for it, the godfather of cashless tolling.
We need more highway capacity in urban areas because people are not going to get out of their cars.
Poole's with the Conservative Reason Foundation. He's been advising Governor Scott ever since he won his first election 8 years ago. And Poole keeps pushing for more toll roads and toll lanes because he's concerned the state won't be able to afford new roads without them. Gas tax collections are growing here, but better fuel economy means they aren't growing as fast as Florida's needs.
The growth of autonomous vehicles in the next few decades, most of the studies now think it's going to mean more travel rather than less. So there's all the more reason to add more highway capacity.
One area where Poole agrees with toll critics is that Floridians shouldn't be taxed twice for driving our roads. He's in favor of getting rid of the gas tax altogether as toll roads continue to expand. It's a proposition, though, he admits may be more technologically feasible right now than it is politically plausible. Noah Pransky, 10 Investigates.
Critics of express toll lanes call them Lexus lanes, since the wealthy would be more likely to use and benefit from them. But proponents say everyone will benefit, including those who will see public transportation improvements from the dedicated lanes. Noah's SunPass investigation started with a tip from a viewer just like you. If you've got something for our 10 Investigates team, write them at turn10@WTSP.com.
Whether you are in the toll road lane or not, you are definitely in the AC lane right about now. Oh my gosh.
It has been incredibly hot, record-breaking hot. Both today and yesterday we set brand new records. Wow. 95 degrees is as hot as we got today. Yeah, we should be in the upper 80s. And this is the time, and this happened to us in the spring. If you remember in the spring, we were really warm. And I was saying we got ripped off. It's like some of the best time, some of the time of the year we get some of the best weather. We should be in the 80s. Now, it's still warm, but we should be coming down a little bit. 95 degrees for a daytime high today, breaking the record set back in 1986 of 94. And yes, it has been hot September. September, it's going to go down as the hottest month of September that we've ever seen here, as far as records go back. So that we still have some time left. I just don't see cool enough air to change this number at all. The record is 83.8. That's highs and lows. That's 24-hour temperature average. And you can see we've already blown that out of the water by almost 2 degrees. And that's tough to move that much in a short amount of time. To have a couple showers out there, a little less rain around the last couple of days. We still had a couple of good storms, don't get me wrong. But overall, we're starting to get towards the end of the rainy season, starting to wind down a little bit, and I'll explain that coming up. Couple showers now moving offshore of Longboat Key, Whitney Beach area, Bradenton Beach as well, too. Can't rule out an isolated shower. Actually, a couple are developing just offshore here now, but they're moving off towards the north and the west. So just about everything is done. Isolated shower left over for this evening. Looking out at the airport right now, that's, well, actually from Renaissance Hotel, looking out towards Ray J, where it's 85 degrees right now, but it feels like 93 degrees with a dew point in the mid-70s. So it is hot out there. Well, warm at least. 83 in St. Pete, but look at the 70s from Venice to Sarasota. Lakewood Ranch at 75 degrees. That's from some of the rain that we just saw this evening. So here's a forecast model for tomorrow morning. Bus stop looks great for the kids. Lunchtime, a few isolated showers. We will get that East Coast sea breeze to come back across, but rain chance is only about 30% for Tampa, 40 to 50% for Sarasota County. So the further south you go, better rain chance. There are spots in Citrus, Hernando, and Pasco County that didn't see any rain today, and I think that'll be the case again for tomorrow. 93 degrees, 93 to 94. The record tomorrow, 94. set back in 1972, so we're going to be right there. 1 to 2 foot seas if you want to take the boat out. Southeast winds to the southwest around 5 to 10 knots. Great boating, although this weekend, Sunday, the winds will start to pick up a little bit. Staying out of the east, but they will pick up a little bit Sunday, Monday, and the Tuesday. Algae forecast, ragweed, grass, and nettle, and they are inching up there a little bit into the moderate range. All right, Leslie we're not going to worry about, although Leslie could be sitting out here and redevelop, 80% chance that it happens, for the next 7 to 10 days, just sitting out in the central Atlantic. Remnants of Kirk has a 70% chance of developing. That looks pretty good to me. This is Invest 98, just off the Carolinas. Looked good earlier today, but now I think it's already moving to the north and the northeast, and it's just unorganized, so I don't think it develops, which is great news for them. This is Kirk. Kirk, I do think, will develop, but it's going to move into the Caribbean, and there's a lot of wind shear sitting right in here. You can see all that blue, and that's just going to shear it apart. It just can't survive with that, especially as it gets into the Caribbean. So we'll keep an eye on it. What I'm really watching for, this is some drier air that's coming on the west side of Leslie, and then watch that air get pushed off towards the west, right over top of us. And that's going to happen again as we get into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. That right there, guys, that's bringing a slow end to the rainy season. That cuts down the overall moisture in the atmosphere, and that cuts down on our overall rain chances. Look at the weekend, 20% Saturday and Sunday. A little bit drier. Dew point's still in the low 70s, but it will be a couple degrees cooler as far as the dew point goes. It'll feel just a little bit better. Good weekend coming up. Just going to be a hot one. All right, don't forget you can catch our forecast on the radio. You can hear it on 105.5 The Dove, 107.3 The Eagle, Magic 94.9, and Hitland 106.9 FM.
It is one of the most exclusive, expensive, and impenetrable cars in the world, and it's making its debut in New York this week. Meet the new Beast. This is a brand new version of the presidential limo built by General Motors. Most of its specs are top secret, but it's believed to have 8-inch thick armor plating, 5-inch thick windows, and to weigh about 20,000 pounds. So it can withstand biological, chemical, and small arms attacks. The president reportedly has a fleet of 12 of these limos.
Hey dealers, this is 10 Sports.
The Bucs have a plan. That's good. We just have no idea what said plan will be, at least for now. Jameis is back. Fitz is on fire. One of them starts Sunday at Chicago, probably Fitzpatrick. But Dirk Cutter is keeping that a big old fat secret, and he's not telling us, the media, because they don't want to give it away to Chicago. It'll be the elephant in the room for a while. Cutter did say he spoke with Winston and Fitzpatrick today, informing them of the plan for Sunday. Winston, he stayed in playing shape, by the way, despite his 3-game absence, and he's going to practice with his teammates tomorrow for the first time in 28 days.
We know what we're going to do. Both guys know what we're going to do. Hope everybody can appreciate that, it doesn't do us any good to tell our opponents what we're going to do. So, that'll work itself out here as the week goes on. The timing doesn't really matter. I mean, I know everybody wants to know, but it's really not important. Really, what's important is what are we going to do this week against the Bears. That's really all that matters. This quarterback issue we have right now is not an adversity. We are blessed. I think we have 3 good quarterbacks on our roster right now, and not all teams in the league can say that. And I think we can win. Griff hasn't proven it yet, but I think we have 2 guys that we can win with.
Winston, by the way, will speak with the media tomorrow just before noon. This may still be Fitzy's job, though. I mean, look what he's done. 1,230 pass yards, that leads the NFL. He's the only quarterback ever in NFL history to throw for 400 yards in 3 straight games. And, of course, a 2-1 record against teams that went 37-11 last year. One other note from One Buck today. Starting safety Chris Conte placed on IR after re-aggravating a knee injury last night. Conte was roasted publicly after getting this stiff arm to the face from Vance Joseph. Cutter hopes that Conte comes back at some point this season. No playoffs for the Rays, despite an incredible run as of late at this thing. I mean, they are 25-8 since August 19th. That's tied for the best record in the Bigs with the Astros. All they could basically do right now is play spoiler and hope to eye 90 wins on the season, which would be remarkable. Have to go 3-3 over the final 6 to get there. Hosting the Yankees tonight at Tropicana Field. Here's what you need to see. Holy reflexes from Jake Faria. I mean, Aaron Judge nearly decapitates him. The exit velocity off the bat, 109 miles per hour, and somehow, Faria gets the glove up right by his ear. Watch that. Snags it. That was close. Faria's grabbed one of the lone highlights for the Rays tonight. The Yanks put this one away in the 3rd inning. That's former Ray Adeiny Hechavarria going yard. That would make it 1-0 Bronx Bombers. How about Luke Voigt? Boy, he's been good since becoming a Yank, huh? 2-0 right here on the double. It was 4-zip until Gary Sanchez did that. Blew it open, 3-run shot, 7-run third. Rays lose 9-2. They're basically preseason pals. The Bolts and Panthers, they're going to become well acquainted with one another over the next few weeks. 4 games against each other over the next 12 days. John Cooper said of the Cats, quote, "We're huge competitors, but it's almost like we're married to each other." Well, the two not on speaking terms tonight after this one at Amalie Arena. Bolts were up 2-0 in the third period, trying to close it out. Cats, though, able to smack one past Andre Vasilevsky here. So, all right, it's a 2-1 game. A few minutes later, Panthers shaking loose again, and that one fired past Vasi, so we're tied nearly midway through the third. Now, of note, Nikita Kucherov left the game with a lower body injury. Coop said it's just a...
There is a new mascot in town for the Philadelphia Flyers, the orange and black, googly-eyed mascot named Gritty. Made his debut on the ice and on Twitter.
Yeah, so here's Gritty. His bio says that he's earned his name Gritty for an attitude that's so similar to the team that he follows.
Look at the eyes.
He's talented and feisty, a fierce competitor, and known for his agility, especially given his size or his girth. He's big boned.
So other mascots are reaching out and welcoming Gritty, including S.J. Sharkey for the San Jose Sharks. Gritty has also gotten his fair share of internet trolls.
Uh-oh.
Well, Katie, how do you feel about this thing, Gritty?
I don't know. I mean, I think he fits the Flyers. I'm a Blackhawks and, of course, a Lightning fan.
Yep.
But I think, he goes with the city. I think people in Philly are going to embrace him.
Look at him shaking it. Okay.
I think we should give him a chance. He's a good dancer.
I don't know if I could sleep tonight. Those eyes really are like...
He is googly-eyed. It's in the description.
It is. It is.
Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Don't forget Brightside.